Bob had a dream, not a complicated dream, a simple dream. Bob wanted to marry Mara. He leaned across the table. Mara, I've been thinking. Mara sighed. That's usually dangerous. Bob nodded. I want to marry you. Mara looked up. You do? Bob smiled proudly. Yes. I want to be husband number. Bob paused. 7? Mara raised an eyebrow. 7? Bob looked uncertain. Or 8? Mara crossed her arms. Bob, you're forgetting a few. Bob began counting on his fingers. There was the pilot. Yes. The personal trainer. Yes. The motivational speaker. Yes. The guy with the food truck. Yes. Bob paused. Then the accountant. Mara nodded. Correct. Bob frowned. So that's 5. Mara stared at him. Bob counted again. 1, 2, 3. He stopped. This is harder than I thought. Mara leaned forward. Bob, why do you want to marry me? Bob smiled proudly. Because when the police eventually catch us, it will look better if we're married. Mara nodded slowly. That's actually the smartest thing you've ever said. Bob brightened. Really? Mara shrugged. Yes. Bob leaned back proudly. Then it's settled. Mara asked, so what's the plan? Bob smiled. We commit just enough crime to afford the wedding. Mara nodded. That makes sense. Bob paused. So, husband number... He counted again. 6? Mara shook her head. Bob. Yes? You're not even close. Bob sighed. Well, at least I'm trying. And somewhere nearby, Biscuit barked, because even the dog knew. Bob wasn't trying to become a criminal mastermind. Bob was just trying to become Mara's next husband.
Bob ran into the room. Mara, we're about to be rich. Mara sighed. This better not involve the time machine. Bob grinned. We go back in time and buy winning lottery tickets. Mara stared. How would you know the winning numbers? Bob blinked. Internet. Mara whispered. Bob, why are we outside the zoo? Bob smiled. Step 1 of the plan. Mara blinked. What plan? Bob pointed through the fence. The lion cub. Mara stared. Bob, that's a lion. Bob nodded. A baby lion. Mara grabbed his arm. Bob, its mother will eat us. Bob shrugged. Mara, think positive. Mara sighed. This is the worst idea you've ever had. Bob smiled proudly. Mara, my little chicken nuggets. You the smartest? Bob stared at the lion cub. Mara, I have an idea. Mara sighed. That sentence has never helped us. Bob pointed at the cub. We adopt him. Mara blinked. Bob, that's a lion. Bob nodded. A baby lion. Mara crossed her arms. Bob, people adopt children. Bob shrugged. Same concept. Mara stared at him. It is not the same concept. Bob looked proud. Mara, if people can adopt kids, we can adopt a lion. Mara rubbed her temples. Bob, a lion is not a baby. Bob thought for a moment. It's a bigger baby. Just then the lion cub roared. Mara grabbed Bob's arm. Bob, where's its mother? Bob froze. New plan. Bob stood outside the zoo fence, holding a Diet Coke. Sean R. Cheatham, strip mall lawyer, looked at him. Bob, why do you have a Diet Coke? Bob nodded proudly. Everyone knows I'm not on a diet. Cheatham blinked. That's your disguise? Bob shrugged. Exactly. Cheatham adjusted his disguise. Fake mustache, oversized sunglasses, safari hat. Mara stared at him. Why are you dressed like a tourist? Cheatham whispered. I'm blending in. Bob pointed through the fence. There. The lion cub. Cheatham frowned. Bob, that's illegal. Bob nodded. That's why I hired a lawyer. Cheatham paused. Good point. Just then the cub roared. Mara grabbed Bob's arm. Bob, where's its mother? Bob slowly opened another Diet Coke. New plan. Bob, people adopt children. Bob shrugged. Same concept. Mara stared at him. It is not the same concept. Bob looked proud. Mara, if people can adopt kids, we can adopt a lion. Mara rubbed her temples. Bob, a lion is not a baby. Bob thought for a moment. It's a bigger baby. Just then the lion cub roared. Mara grabbed Bob's arm. Bob, where's its mother? Bob froze. New plan? Mara, half asleep, rolling over. Bob, do you want to warm up the camper tonight? Bob, calm, already awake, already handled. Mara, eyes barely open. What do you mean already handled? Bob nods. Been warming it up since 3 a.m. Mara sits up now. Bob, the camper is outside. Bob, not anymore. Mara, what? Bob leans back, relaxed. Brought it closer. Efficiency. Mara slowly turns toward the window. Bob, what did you do? Pauses. Why is the camper in the living room? Bob, proud, like this makes perfect sense. Open concept. Mara turns back to him, stunned. Bob smiles at her, completely confident. Relax, my little chicken nuggets. You said you like it warm.